Hello, my children. You know, sometimes when I'm sitting around looking for a video to debunk, it can be difficult to find one. And then I remember, oh, flat earthers are always available. Even if the topic isn't about flat earth, they're going to spew some sort of conspiracy theory about it. And that's why I love my flat earthers. Never change. Keep giving me content. Anyway, today we'll be looking at a flat earth channel who has a pretty insane stance on that thing that shall not be named. Okay, I can't just keep saying that, and unfortunately YouTube will refuse to let me make anything off this video if I mention the current pandemic, which is a shame. So we're going to try something here. For this video, I will refer to that thing that shall not be named as Voldemort. This idea was given to me by a comment from the previous video, so we're going to name it Voldemort. Because they're both names that shall not be named. But of course, the YouTube algorithm is not stupid. They'll try to pick up other related words, so we're going to make another codename, Dark Wizards, which refers to the general species in which Voldemort belongs to. Got it? Don't forget. I feel like this is going to be useless anyway, because the original video is going to be saying the words that shall not be said. We will try our best though. If this works out, I'll be doing it again in the future. That's actually pretty true to some extent. Of course, fear is something important for the survival of organisms. If you've learned to be fearful of certain situations, then you'll likely want to escape it in some way. The negative emotion is a way to keep you away from things that could potentially harm you. Knowing that, it's difficult to imagine how fear can actually be pleasurable. When you're scared of something, despite all the anxiety and negative emotions you're experiencing, you also get a small dose of dopamine and endorphins. Normally, of course, this is overwhelmed by the fear being processed in your amygdala, but in some cases, especially if you know you're safe, you can really get pleasure out of it. I, for one, absolutely enjoy horror games. It's scary, but at the same time, I know I myself am safe. But of course, you don't always have to know you're safe to enjoy fear, which is why, in my opinion at least, a lot of people buy into stories of ghosts and the supernatural. The feeling is also quite similar to being in love. I believe I mentioned this in a previous video before, but if you want to rekindle some love between you and your significant other, consider watching a horror movie. This pleasure feeling you get from being fearful, it is indeed something that perhaps a lot of news channels take advantage of. That's why you always see headlines that over-exaggerate the situation, such as news that cover Voldemort, but I don't think it's to the extent that this flat earther thinks though. I guess everything you watch on the media is fake news now. You know, the media that says the earth is round, despite it being consistent with everything we've ever known, and not just the media claims that. Okay, you're making this sound like it's cocaine or something. Let's not even pretend that fear is addictive. Kind of dishonest of you to put out this premise so that you can give a reason why the media and the people consuming it would supposedly lie about things. On the other side of things, I say you conspiracy theorists have some sort of superiority complex where you get pleasure from spreading the, quote, truth to others. The idea that knowing something that others don't makes you feel superior, and you enjoy that. While I absolutely believe this is the case, I'm not going to use it as a premise to poison the well before making my main point. Arguments are valuable only if they have merit on their own.
Arjunus Vonderplanitz was an American nutritionist and creator of the raw primal diet.
I don't know this person, but if he's an advocate of a raw primal diet, then he's probably not very legit.
One of the more controversial things he stipulated was the notion that all parasites, bacteria, and
Dark Wizards
are in fact beneficial to people's health.
That's an outrageous claim, but technically there are plenty of microorganisms that are beneficial to our health. Bacteria, for example, that live in your gut have some mutual relationships with the rest of the body. They protect us from more harmful bacteria, they break down certain molecules that our bodies cannot, and they release signaling proteins as well. The list goes on. There's a lot of science being done right now studying the enormous effects of gut bacteria. Dark wizards, on the other hand, not as obvious, but they can indirectly benefit us as well. For example, maybe bacteriophages or even dark wizard vectors, which are a great medium for us to use for gene therapies, for example, but only after we've modified them ourselves. But of course, these are specific examples. If you're talking about bacteria and dark wizards in general, most don't actually care about us. They don't benefit, nor do they harm us. We're just used to hearing about these microorganisms being harmful because we mostly learn about diseases that are caused by them. Dark wizards, for example, are massive in quantity. They literally reside everywhere in the world, but only a tiny percentage of them actually infect humans. But if we're talking about the ones that are pathogenic, which I believe is what your video is about, then yes, they are harmful. At the end of the day, however, you'll have to break down and look at the organism by itself to determine their relationship with humans. Parasites, though, by definition harms the host, so no, they don't benefit humans unless you think of it as an indirect effect resulting from infecting another organism, I guess.
In relation to the topic of
dark wizards,
Wonderplanets claimed that the only way to get a so-called
dark wizard
was to be injected with it. It's understood that all
dark wizards
are non-living, dead protein structures. Arginus's theory was that they are all naturally occurring in the body and perform a special role of being able to dissolve toxic or dead tissue from the body in order to heal.
Okay, the claims aren't even consistent with each other. First, you say that you can only get dark wizards via injection, then you say they are mutually occurring in the body. So which one is it? If the former is true, then what is causing the pandemic today? Is it someone running around injecting people with Lord Voldemort? Is that how it is? If the latter is true, then what is causing the sudden outbreak of Lord Voldemort? Is something causing everyone to suddenly have their bodies release the Dark Lord all at once? Why is it that it started in China and moved its way around other countries? Why do some countries not have Voldemort present? These are all questions that must be answered.
How many people know
dark wizards
aren't alive? It's been known in the medical profession for years that you don't give antibiotics for
dark wizards
because they're ineffectual, because they're not alive.
That is absolutely not the reason we don't give antibiotics to treat dark wizard infections. It's not because they're not alive. You can still destroy their structure, make them ineffective, or quote, kill them. We don't use antibiotics for dark wizard infections because they're dark wizards, not bacteria. This is the same reason we don't use anti-dark wizards to treat bacteria infections. They're literally a whole different class of organisms. For example, if we had an antibiotic that disrupted the structure of the cell wall, that's not really going to be useful against dark wizards that do not have cell walls. Or if we use an anti-dark wizard drug that blocks essential proteins that inhibit the dark wizard life cycle, that's not useful for a bacteria. Come on, basic biology 101.
They have no nucleus. They are protein parts. There's no respiration, there's no functionality, there's no glandular activity. They are not alive.
The only thing not alive are your brain cells, and dark wizards, of course.
But what are they? They are soaps, they are solvents. The body makes them to dissolve tissue in your body that are too toxic for the parasites, the bacteria, and the fungus to eat.
What in tarnation?
So what's all this contagious bullcrap about
dark
virus?
wizards?
That's like saying laundry soap is contagious.
One of the things you hear about protecting yourself against Lord Voldemort is to wash your hands with soap and water. I guess using soap destroys soap then, in this case. Absolutely ridiculous. And what, it dissolves your own tissues to feed the bacteria and parasites in your body? This has become so stupid that I have trouble believing that even flat earthers would believe this. But apparently they do, so what can you do about that? Just as a fun fact, why is soap so effective against Lord Voldemort? That's because Voldemort has an outer protective shell that is not only made of proteins, but also layers of hydrophobic fat. One of the easiest ways to break apart their envelope is to rip it apart with soap, since soap contains molecules that are hydrophilic on one side and hydrophobic on the other. They form micelles around fat particles and allow them to dissolve, thus making water effective against them and breaks apart their shell. Literally just soap everything. Your hands, your clothes, your bright future. Wait, no, that last one doesn't exist, sorry. Let's carry on.
Well, it's in every home, and everybody uses it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or between 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Can you not make that face?
That's when colds and flus happen. They happen seasonally.
You literally didn't draw any conclusion on why flus happen seasonally.
There are 300,000 varieties of
dark wizards.
Each one of them takes just a little particle of a cell at a time and disassembles it. And the pharmaceutical industry says, see, it dissolves a cell. No, it's dissolving a specific tissue in that cell. So specific that it can never damage the integrity of that cell.
First of all, cells make tissues. Tissues don't make cells. Second of all, if you could so kindly as to tell us what specific molecule is being dissolved by dark wizards and how that mechanism happens, that'd be great. There's no need to be vague here. We're mature enough to talk about specific and scientific terminology, right? Here, let me share you my and everyone else's understanding of dark wizards. They're essentially just molecular hijackers that infiltrate the specific cells they target. From there, they borrow the cell's machinery to make more dark wizard proteins and DNA. Finally, they break out of the cell, killing it and releasing baby dark wizards in training to go and infect other cells. They damage the body by literally just killing your cells. Anyway, that was just a quick rundown. The only thing I'll be turning off is your channel. Anyway, that's my time. I hope everyone is staying safe during the times of Lord Voldemort. Wash your hands, don't touch your face, and don't watch Flat Earth channels. Otherwise, Lord Voldemort will not be pleased. Thank you to Fireshard, Liam, Don Jessica, Joe Goldenberg, and Jayan for supporting this channel and contributing to battling misinformation on the Dark Lord. Goodbye.